from the Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Hey folks, what's up? This is your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Like I said, you probably heard used to my voice by now after 11 weeks. So, like I say, it'll get better and better. But now we're approaching week number 12, and we're almost near, I wouldn't say near the end of the college football season because there's a holiday gap from when the conference championships and the college football playoffs after the new year. So it's going to continue on into the early part of 2020. But let's go ahead and get started with our Big Flem Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flem Radio and TV. And again, like I mentioned, it is week number 12. Alright, we're going to get started here. We're going to the SEC, folks, the best conference in college football per se, as we have the number 11 ranked Florida Gators traveling to Columbia, Missouri to take on the 5-4 Missouri Tigers, Mizzou Tigers. Like I said, Florida did pretty good this year. They're 8-2. Like I said, they lost to Georgia, of course. So I'm picking the Gators to beat the Missouri Tigers in this SEC matchup. Actually, SEC East Division matchup. All right, our next pick, we go into the Big 12, where we have the Kansas Jayhawks at 3-6, traveling to Stillwater, Oklahoma, to take on the number 22 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys at 6-3. In a way, this can be a no-brainer here. Like I say, Oklahoma State had that nice potent offense going their way as they get prepared in a couple of weeks for the Battle of the Bedlams against their cross-state rivals, Oklahoma. But first, they got to take care of business and take care of the Kansas Jayhawk. Like I said, Les Miles so far had a rough first year as head coach of the Kansas Jayhawk. Hopefully, maybe he can turn it around next season. So we're going with Oklahoma State over Kansas Jayhawks. All right, we're going to head to the West, the WAC or the Mountain West, where we have the Fresno State Bulldogs at 4-5. Heading down to San Diego to take on the San Diego State Aztecs at 7-2. And the Aztecs are doing pretty good this season. So for my frat brothers down there at San Diego State, I'm going to go root for you guys to beat the Fresno State Bulldogs. Alright, our next matchup, we have the Tulane Green Wave at 6-3 as they travel to Philly, where Will Smith's from, born and raised. Take on the Temple Owls, who also at 6-3. Like I said, I think it's going to be a tight contest, but I think I'll go with the Tulane Green Wave over the Temple Owls in that matchup. Alright, we head into the Big Ten country with 14 schools, of course, where we have the number 14th ranked Wisconsin Badgers at 7-2, traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska, to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers at 4-5. Like I say, Nebraska really, Wisconsin, I know they got to recover from that upset loss to Minnesota last week. Because I thought Wisconsin, with their experience, would beat Minnesota to give them their first loss, but I was wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. So we're going to see Wisconsin recover from that loss, and they're going to take it out on the Cornhuskers on Saturday. So it'll be Wisconsin Badgers over the Cornhuskers. Staying with the Big Ten, we have our interstate matchup where we have the Michigan State Spartans at 4-5. Man, they're really struggling right now, and right now the coach Mike D'Antonio is feeling a little heat there in East Lansing for the way this season has turned out, as they're traveling to Ann Arbor to take on their cross-state rivals, the number 15 ranked Michigan Wolverines, at the Big House at Michigan Stadium there. I saw that stadium in 2017 when it was empty, of course, and it is a very big stadium, man. Like I said, I wish I had the opportunity to go see it when it's filled with over 100,000 spectators. But I know that's going to be a good matchup against Sparty and the blue and maize. Go blue. But for this matchup, I'm hoping that Michigan State can get back on track and hopefully get another win to get closer to 6 wins so they can be bowl eligible. So I think Michigan State will beat Michigan in a close one. And of course, staying with the Big Ten with 14 schools, we have another matchup where we have the Indiana Hoosiers at 7-2. They're doing pretty good this year. I guess you say they might have I wouldn't say a weak schedule, or I guess, of course, they have a lot of weak teams in the Big Ten. They travel to Happy Valley to take on the 9th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions at 8-1. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to give it to the Nittany Lions there in Happy Valley at Beaver Stadium. Like I say, it might be a whiteout this weekend, so who knows? Traveling through that sea of white there in Penn State there. All right, at State College, Pennsylvania. I think it's the city where Penn State is located at. So it's going to be Penn State over Indiana in the Big Ten there, folks. All right, our next pick, we're going to travel. Actually, this is going to be a battle of military institutes, where we have the VMI, Virginia Military Institute cadets at 4-6, traveling to West Point, New York, to take on my Army, the Army West Point Black Knights, who are also 4-6, and are currently struggling also this year. I think the Army will pull it out in the battle of the military academies, Army academies, of course, and get a victory over VMI. And it's going to be very chilly there, and it might get some snow up there at West Point, up there along the Hudson. So, like I say, make sure you folks bundle up. And I say Army strong to the cadets there at West Point. And I also have an old Army buddy who was stationed there and retired from there and worked as a federal civilian employee. Alright, folks, we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back with Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flem Radio and TV. From the Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Hey folks, this is Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming, the host and creator of Big Flem Radio and TV website. As you know, I am a host of 6 podcasts on Big Flem Radio and TV, designed for the general listening audience. Like I said, whenever you get a chance, check it out. Check out the website, check out the online store for Big Flem Radio and TV themed products and little knickknacks and gifts for your friends and your family members. Like I said, you'll find it very interesting. I guarantee it. Like I said, the podcast covers news, music, talk. I wouldn't say news, but mainly talk about today's news and topics, as well as a channel dedicated to my fellow American military veterans, because I am a veteran myself. 21 years qualifying service in the Army and the Army Reserves, which includes 2 combat tours in Iraq and 6 months contingency operation tour in Kuwait. So I dedicate that show to all my fellow veterans and family members of veterans. So if you give a chance, hey, give me a chance. Give a listen. Check out the website at www.bigflemradiotv, that's one word, .com. Again, that's www.bigflemradiotv.com. I'll spell it out for you. It's BIGFLEM as in Mike, RADIO TV. And you can send me a tweet on Twitter with the hashtag Flem, FLEM_radio. So like I said, give me a shot, give it a listen. And also, if you want to send a request for a song or want to make a comment or criticisms about any of the podcast shows on Big Flem Radio and TV, go ahead. I like to hear from you. send me a shout out. Or if you want me to do a shout out for somebody, or if you want to do a dedication on a certain show, just send it to the email bigflemradiotv@gmail.com. Again, that's bigflemradiotv@gmail.com, and put whatever particular podcast show in the subject line. For example, one of the shows you're listening to right now is Big Flem's Pigskin Picks NFL edition, as well as college football edition. Also, you can send the subject line. You can use My Prerogative with Lorenzo Fleming, Reflections, Rockin' Into the Night, as well as Lorenzo's Jams. Again, give it a try. Check it out. Listen to it. Tell all your friends and your neighbors and your family members, and even strangers. You won't regret it. It's Big Flem Radio and TV.
Hi, I'm here today because I'm addicted.
Big Flem Radio and TV.
Get ready. You know.
Now that's an addiction, man.
From the Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Alright folks, welcome back. Like I say, if you haven't had a chance to check out the website, I would implore you to check it out, like I say, because you can find this podcast as well as the NFL counterpart, Big Flem's Pigskin Picks NFL edition, as well as 5 other podcast shows, dealing with music, talk, and veterans issues and information. Like I said, check it out, and also check out that wonderful online store where you can find some unique Big Flem Radio and TV theme memorabilia and souvenirs and gifts, especially with the holidays coming up. If you're looking for a nice gift for your friends, your loved ones, your family members, your co-workers, your battle buddies, if you're in the military, stranger, an alien from Mars or from outer space, hey, check it out. There's some nice things there. So check out the website at www.bigflemradiotv.com. Again, that's www.bigflemradiotv, that's one word.com. If you want to be a guest picker, prognosticator for this podcast, as well as the Big Flem Pigskin Picks NFL edition, shoot us an email at bigflemradiotv@gmail.com. Again, that's bigflemradiotv, one word, @gmail.com, and put in the subject line Big Flem's Pigskin Picks NFL or College Football Edition. And send us an audio clip, or you can just type in what your picks are and who you're rooting for. Also, if you want to tweet us, yes, we have a Twitter account, folks. You can send us a tweet via Twitter using the hashtag @Flem_radio. That's @Flem, Flem as in Mike, _radio, radio. And we also have a Facebook group page, as well as a Facebook page established for Big Flem's Pigskin Picks, as well as Big Flem Radio and TV, other podcasts. So you go to facebook.com/Big Flem Radio and TV. Like I said, check it out. Give it a try. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family members, tell your co-workers, tell a stranger, tell an alien, so on and so forth. Now let's get back to our picks, folks. All right, our next pick is a classic matchup. We have the number 23 Navy, the midshipmen at 7-1, traveling to South Bend to take on the number 16th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 7-2. Both teams are doing well this season, and like I say, Notre Dame, they're trying to hopefully position themselves to get back into the playoffs. So I'm looking for Notre Dame to beat Navy in a close one, folks. Alright, our next matchup, we travel into the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, where we have the 6-3 Virginia Tech Hokies traveling to Atlanta, Georgia, to take on the woeful and pitiful 2-7 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, aka the Bumblebees, aka the Broken Down Rex, at Bobby Dodd Stadium, aka Bobby Dud Stadium at Grant Field. Seemed like that first year head coach can't get that team together down there in Atlanta. which will be easy pickings when Georgia comes there in 2 weeks. And enough, we'll talk about that down the line. But at the game at hand, the Battle of Techs here, it'll be Virginia Tech, walloping the hapless Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, aka the Bumblebees, aka the Broken Down Rex. Alright, our next matchup is back in the Big 12, where we have the 19th ranked Texas Longhorns at 6-3, traveling to Ames, Iowa. I think Ames, Iowa. Yeah, I think it's Ames, Iowa. Take on Iowa State Cyclones, or the Clones, at 5-4. Like I say, both teams need a quality win here, especially when it comes to the Big 12 championship coming up. But I'm going for the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns over the Iowa State Cyclones, the Clones. Alright, folks, our next matchup, it'll be a local one, since I'm originally from Georgia. We have the University of Louisiana Monroe Warhawks traveling to Statesboro, Georgia, aka the Borough, as the locals would call it, to take on the 5-4 Georgia Southern Eagles. Seem like the Eagles, they kind of had an up and down season, but they're doing fairly well. So I'm going to give it to my Eagles at Georgia Southern, because my daughter graduated from there, and plus I have a lot of high school classmates that graduated from Georgia Southern, and that's kind of like the local school to me back home. Alright, our next pick, we're going back to the ACC, where we have the pretty good Wake Forest Demon Deacons at 7-2. They traveling to Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, aka Death Valley, to take on the number 3 ranked Clemson Tigers at 10-0. Everybody's like, I would say, dogging Clemson's because of their weak schedule, and I'm kind of pissed because the AP polls is like constantly dropping them, even though they're undefeated and they're defending national champions. And they're currently, I think they're ranked number 5 or 6 or something like that. I forgot to double check, see what the college football ranking is. But anyway, like I say, Clemson definitely needs a statement win to hopefully boost their chances to get back into the playoff fold. So I'm going with the Clemson Tigers over the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Alright, our next pick is back in the Big 12, when we got the West Virginia Mountaineers at 3-6. They're really struggling this year, as they travel to Manhattan, Kansas, to take on the 24th ranked Kansas State Wildcats at 6-3. So I think Kansas State is doing pretty good at Bill Snyder Stadium. So I'm looking forward to the Wildcats beating the Mountaineers there this Saturday. Going back to the SEC, the best conference in college football, where we have the Kentucky Wildcats at 4-5, traveling to Nashville, country music capital of the world, as they take on the woeful 2-7 Vanderbilt Commodores. Like I said, Derek Mason's really feeling the heat down there in Nashville, and it seems like Vanderbilt can't get it together this season. So I think this should be an easy win for the Kentucky Wildcats, folks. Alright, we're going to continue on with our picks. We're going back to the ACC, where we have Syracuse Orangemen, or the Syracuse Orange, depends on how you look at it, at 3-6. They're really struggling this year as they travel to Chapel Hill to take on the 4-5 Duke Blue Devils. They kind of struggling a bit this year. So I'm going to go with Duke Blue Devils in this one over Syracuse. Alright, heading to the West Coast, the WAC, where we got the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors at 6-4, leaving the islands, travel across the Pacific Ocean to head to Las Vegas to take on the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Running Rebels, who are struggling this year at 2-7. So I think this one, you might say, is a no-brainer, that I think the Rainbow Warriors should handily beat the UNLV Rebels in this matchup, folks. Alright, heading still in the WAC, we have the Wyoming Cowboys at 6-3, heading down the interstate to, was that Logan? I think it's Logan, Utah, where they take on Utah State Aggies at 5-4. They're two pretty decent programs playing against each other, but I'm going to lean towards the Wyoming Cowboys over the Utah State Aggies in this one, folks. Alright, folks, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition for Week 12 here on Big Flem Radio and TV. From the Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming.
Flem Radio wants you to know that approximately every 51 minutes, someone is killed in a drunk driving crash. Buzz driving can also cause huge financial penalties with fines and legal fees. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk. Find out more at NHTSA. Gnarly, dude. This is Jess Bacoli. When I'm out hanging 10, catching the waves, checking out the chicks, and skipping Mr. Hand's class, I'm listening to Big Flem Radio and TV. Oh.
From the Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Alright folks, welcome back. We're going to continue on with our college edition of Big Flem's Pigskin Picks here on Big Flem Radio and TV. Now our next matchup is another WAC or Mountain West matchup where we have the 7-2 Air Force Falcons, aka the Zoomies, traveling to Fort Collins, Colorado to take on the struggling 4-5 Colorado State Rams. Well, like I say, I have family who are Air Force veterans, and I have a cousin who's currently in the Air Force as an airman. So I'll root for the Air Force Falcons to triumph over the Colorado State Rams in this matchup. Now we're heading back to the ACC where we have the 5-4 Louisville Cardinals traveling to Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Kakalaki, North Carolina, where they face the North Carolina State Wolfpack, who's currently struggling a bit. So like I said, I think that one might be a close one, but I'm going to give the edge to Louisville Cardinals over the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. Alright, heading back to the Big Ten with 14 schools, we have the number 8th ranked and undefeated Minnesota Golden Gophers. Man, they're doing great this year, as they travel to Iowa City to take on the number 20th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes at 6-3. And this is a key divisional matchup for the Big Ten for Minnesota, because, they can be one of the teams to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship in a few weeks. Who knows? So far, like I said, Minnesota's doing hot. Like I said, they knocked off Wisconsin last week in Madison, so maybe they can make it 2 in a row over, top 25 team. So we're going to root for the Golden Gophers in a close one over the Iowa Hawkeyes. Alright, heading to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12. We haven't mentioned them much yet until now, where we got two struggling teams in the Pac-10 North, where we have the Pac-12 North, where we have the 4-5 Stanford Cardinals traveling to Pullman, Washington, Eastern Washington, the Palouse, to take on another 4-5 team, the Washington State Cougars. Right now, Mike Leach is, having fits over there on the Palouse, trying to get this team together. So I'm going to, since I was stationed in Washington State, and plus I have an affinity for Washington State, so I will root for the Cougars of Washington State. And also, they have a consecutive streak of having their flag flown at in ESPN's College Game Day, and that's a good thing. So check them out. When you check out College Game Day in the morning, come on at 9 a.m. East Coast time, 6 Pacific on ESPN. So, like I say, I'm rooting for Washington State over Stanford. Alright, heading back to the best conference in college football, the number 1 LSU Tigers at 9-0 after that big upset over Alabama last week, traveling to Oxford, Mississippi, and Vaught Hemingway Stadium to take on the struggling Ole Miss Rebels. Like I say, LSU is going to continue on with their winning ways, so I don't see a problem with LSU stomping Ole Miss in this matchup, folks. Unless Ole Miss show up and give them a challenge, but I don't see that happening. So it's going to be, I wouldn't say a rout, but I know LSU is going to put a beating on them tomorrow. And heading to our next matchup, we have the number 17 ranked Cincinnati Bearcats at 8-1. I have a distant cousin I had never met before. I think he still plays for Cincinnati, the Bearcats. They travel into Tampa to take on the South Florida Bulls at 4-5. A couple of years ago, they were the darling of college football. But so far, they've been, I guess, struggling a bit lately. So I'm going to stick with the Cincinnati Bearcats over South Florida Bull. Now heading back to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12, we have the 5-4 Arizona State Sun Devils traveling to Corvallis, Oregon to take on the Oregon State Beavers at 4-5. I think this matchup might be a close one for the Puke or Pac-12 North. So I'm going to root for Arizona State in a close one over the Oregon State Beavers. All right, folks, we're going to continue on as we look at another matchup. It'll be another local Georgia matchup. We'll be the 25th ranked Appalachian State at 8-1. They're surprised, like I said, they beat South Carolina last week. And who did they beat? I know Georgia Southern beat them, last month, which was a big. That's why they got that one loss to Georgia Southern. They traveled to Atlanta to take on the Georgia State Panthers, who are 6-3, and they're hanging in there. But I think I'm going to give the edge and the momentum to Appalachian State, the Mountaineers, over the Panthers. Sorry, Georgia State. All right, we're going to head back to the Pac or Puke 12, where we got the USC Trojans, the condom guys, at 6-4, traveling to Berkeley to take on the 5-4 California Golden Bears. And like I say, the Trojans, they're in control of their own destiny in the Pac or Puke 12 South Division lead, and they could sure use a win over California. But me personally, I'd rather go with the California Golden Bears in a close one over USC. And staying in the Pac or Puke 12, the crosstown rival there, UCLA Bruins, aka the Teddy Bears, at 4-5. They're really struggling. Chip Kelly really couldn't get that program together there. They're traveling to Utah to take on the number 7th ranked Utah Utes at 8-1. And Utah Utes, they're doing pretty good in the Pac or Puke 12 South Division lead. So I think this will be a game that they definitely need. So I'm rooting for the Utah Utes to handily beat the UCLA Bruins, aka the Teddy Bears. And last but not least, we're going to wrap up our picks for this week in the Pac-10, aka the Pac-12, the Puke 12, with Arizona State Wildcats at 4-5 as they limp into Eugene, Oregon to take on the number 6 ranked Oregon Ducks at 8-1. It's going to be a gangrene effect there. So, with that being said, to me that should be a no-brainer unless Arizona will show up to play and looking to upset Oregon, but I don't think that's not going to happen. So I'm rooting for the Oregon Ducks to paint the town green there over Arizona Wildcats. All right, we have some and like I said, we have some teams that are off this weekend. We got Arkansas, but they need the week off. Boston College. We got Colorado, the Buffaloes. We got Maryland, they're struggling. You got the University of Miami, Florida, the Hurricanes, aka the Thunderstorm, they're off this week. You got the Nevada Wolfpack, they're off. You got SMU, they're 9-1, they're doing great this year. They're off this week. And you got Tennessee, the Volunteers, they're 5-5, they're struggling this year. Jeremy Pruitt, former assistant at Georgia and then Alabama. I'm trying to keep that program afloat over there because they need the week off. Virginia's off this week, and the Huskies at 6-4. Yeah, 6-4. They're off this week as well. So, all right, we're going to go through our recap of our picks for Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition for Week 12. We have the Florida Gators over the Missouri Tigers. We got Oklahoma State, the Cowboys over the Kansas Jayhawks. We have San Diego State Aztecs over Fresno State Bulldogs. We got Tulane Green Wave over Temple Owls. We have the number 14 ranked Badgers over Nebraska. And we have Michigan State in an upset over number 15 Michigan at the Big House tomorrow in Ann Arbor. We have the number 9 Penn State Nittany Lions. Will be a whiteout there in Happy Valley over Indiana Hoosiers. We got the Army West Point, the Black Knights over Virginia Military Institute, VMI cadets. Then we have number 16 ranked Notre Dame over number 23 ranked Navy. That should be a classic matchup. The Battle of the Techs, we got Virginia Tech over the dastardly and pathetic Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, aka the broken down Rex or the Bumblebees. Then you got the number 19th ranked Texas over Iowa State. The Cyclones or the Clones, we got Georgia Southern over Louisiana Monroe. We got the number 3 Clemson Tigers over Wake Forest, Stephen Deacons. We got number 24 Kansas State Wildcats over the West Virginia Mountaineers. We got the Kentucky Wildcats over the Vanderbilt Commodores in Music City. They're in Nashville. Then you got the Duke Blue Devils over Syracuse Orange. We got Hawaii Rainbow Warriors over the UNLV Rebels. You got Wyoming Cowboys over the Utah State Aggies. We have the Air Force Academy Falcons, aka the Zoomies, over Colorado State Rams. We got Louisville Cardinals over North Carolina State Wolfpack. We got the number 8 ranked and hot 9-0 Minnesota Golden Gophers over the number 20th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes in Iowa City. Then we got the Washington State Cougars over Stanford Cardinals. We got the number 1 ranked LSU Tigers. You know, probably a blowout over the Ole Miss Rebels. You got number 17 Cincinnati Bearcats over South Florida Bulls. You got Arizona State Sun Devils over Oregon State Beavers. And then we have the 25th ranked Appalachian State over Georgia State. Then we got California Golden Bears over the USC Trojans, aka the Condoms. Then we got the number 7th ranked Utah Utes over UCLA Bruins, aka the Teddy Bears. Then you got the number 6th ranked Oregon Ducks or the Wildcats. Oh, actually, I have a couple more picks. My apologies, folks. My little script here got a little off kilter here. So, we got a few more picks that we're going to add into this one here. Like I said, we're going to the Ivy League where we got the Penn Quakers at 4-4 traveling to Cambridge to take on the Harvard Crimson at 4-4. Both teams are struggling this year. So I'm going to give that to Harvard, for those living in Boston. That Boston accent. And also we have the Columbia University Lions over the Brown Bears in the Ivy League. Then we go down to our HBCUs, our historic black colleges and universities. We got 2 6-3 teams. We got the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats out of Daytona, Florida, traveling to Greensboro, North Carolina. I forgot where they located at. North Carolina A&T State Aggies. I have a cousin who graduated there, and he pledged Sigma there. So I'm going with the North Carolina A&T Aggies over the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Then we're going back to Ivy League. We got the Holy Cross Crusaders at 5-5 traveling to Fordham to take on the struggling Fordham Rams. And, of course, Holy Cross is going to beat them. And last, and definitely not least, well, actually, I do got a couple more. Let me run through these right quick before we sign off the air here. Our old Southern Conference rivals, we got the Florida Furman Paladins at 7-3 traveling to Wofford to take on the Wofford Terriers at 6-3. We're going with Furman over Wofford. Then we have, going back to HBCU, the MEAC Conference, Mid-East Athletic Conference. We got the South Carolina State Bulldogs at 6-3, traveling to North Carolina Central in Raleigh, in Durham. Yeah, not Raleigh. Is it Durham? I think it's Durham. But anyway, the South Carolina State Bulldogs going to prevail over North Carolina Central Eagles. Then we heading back to the Ivy League when we got Cornell Big Red. They're struggling at 2-6, traveling to Dartmouth to take on the undefeated Big Green of Dartmouth University in New Hampshire. So that should be an easy win for Dartmouth over Cornell. And then we have the Citadel Bulldogs, the old Southern Conference rival matchup at 6-4, traveling into Chattanooga, the Nougat in Southern Tennessee to take on the Chattanooga Moccasins. It'll be the Citadel Bulldogs, another military academy. And let me see, make sure I got one more. Let me see, one more. Oh, actually, I got 3 more. So let me hurry up and do this right quick. Then another HBCU matchup. We got Edwin Waters Tigers from Jacksonville, Florida. I got a friend of mine who graduated from there, traveling to Prairie View, Texas to take on the Prairie View A&M Panthers at 4-5. Both teams are struggling this year, but I'm going to give it to Prairie View A&M over Edward Waters College Tigers. And then staying with the MEAC, then we got the Howard Bisons of Howard University, where a couple of our fraternities and sororities will birth that. at 1-9. They're really doing bad this year. They're traveling to Tallahassee to take on the Rattlers of Florida A&M University. 8-1, and they're doing pretty good. And of course, check out their band, the Marching 100. They're a great band. Now check them out, folks. So it'd be the Rattlers over the Bisons, and we're gonna wrap this up with McNeese State Cowboys at 6-4, traveling to Nichols State Colonels at 6-4. Both teams are doing pretty good, but we're gonna go with McNeese State over Nichols State. All right, folks. Like I said, we're out of time, folks. And I said, tune in again next time for another edition of Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flem Radio and TV. And also check out our NFL counterpart as well this weekend. Check that out too. And also check out the other 5 podcast channels under Big Flem Radio and TV. They're very entertaining, they're very interesting, and you might learn something too as well. So, like I said, check it out at www.bigflemradiotv.com. Again, that's www.bigflemradiotv.com. That's one word. Also, send us an email with your comments, critiques, and concerns, and tell us how we can be better at bigflemradiotv, one word, at gmail.com. Again, that's bigflemradiotv at gmail.com. And you can put in the subject box any podcast channel shows like Big Flem's Pigskin Picks NFL and College Football Edition. You can give your picks, as well as tell us who you're rooting for, as well as Lorenzo's Jams commentary with Lorenzo Wendell Fleming, Reflections, and Veteran Nation Today. Make sure you check out all those shows, folks. You won't be disappointed. And also check out that online store, because the holidays are coming up and you want to buy that nice special gift for your friends, loved ones, co-workers, battle buddies, strangers, aliens from Mars and the universe, so on and so forth. All right, folks, until then, this is your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming, signing off the air for now. And tune in again next time for Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flem Radio and TV, written, produced, and hosted by yours truly, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming. Big Flem's Pigskin Picks, Big Flem Radio and TV is a production of Black Rebel Productions in association with Flem Media. The theme song for college football is a property of CBS Sports, and Big Flem Radio and TV do not own the rights to the music clip, nor do they profit from it. From the Big Flem Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flem's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flem Fleming.
We're Big Flem Radio and TV.